good evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on UpNorthLive Unscripted. After a morning of a few flurries in some area and a little bit of sunshine in others, well, things have quieted down. Of course, the sun has set. No more snow or rain out there for the most part, right, Joe?
Yeah, a couple around your hometown, Ossaneek, maybe a couple rain showers this evening. But otherwise, yeah, we're in pretty good shape right now for much of the area. I did enjoy, I have to admit, at least where I lived, and you too, seeing the sun this afternoon.
It was so nice, 'cause it was a cold one today. Yeah,
it started off, of course, we had some snow too in some areas this morning. Most spots, Maya, had an inch or less.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has since melted. But moving ahead now, we're going to head into the weekend, of course, coming up here. Clouds kind of filling back in. We'll look at that, and we'll take a look all the way out to Thanksgiving, what to expect in terms of weather a little later.
All right, sounds good, Joe. And let's take a look at our top story of the day today. So in October, the Environmental Protection Agency announced changes to protect drinking water all across the country. And communities now have 10 years to find and replace any lead pipes, but they don't have a whole lot of funding to do that. So our Allie Baxter reports on how it's putting small towns in a pretty hard place.
The village of Central Lake is facing a problem that isn't unique to them. It's one every community across the country is trying to figure out.
That's just another can of worms.
Mary Douglas has lived in Central Lake for 12 years. A week ago, she and 20 others were mailed this letter from the village.
I'm still kind of shocked, and I've been pondering on what to do about it.
The letter says the village has determined a portion of or the entire water service line that connects to the person's home is made of lead.
Man, I'm scared to death.
It frightened Mary, who says she already buys 30 gallons of water a month to avoid drinking her water. Village officials explain her home is at the end of one of the service lines, and she needs to run her water to avoid any sediment buildup.
Well, the more water we run, the more our water bill is. And it's just never ending.
Village trustee Michelle Fox says she understands Mary's anxiety.
We don't have any lead in our water. Water's perfectly safe, perfectly fine, but we still have to send out the letter, and the wording of the letter is quite stern.
Michelle and the village clerk explained they were sent this notification from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, saying they had to send a letter out to residents like Mary, and it had to be worded in a certain way from a template approved by the EPA.
The village of Central Lake had no choice, just like every other municipality in the country did not have a choice of what kind of letter to send.
What the village doesn't have is lead in their water, but what they do have is at least 21 lead goosenecks that connect the water source to people's homes.
There's no lead in the water when it comes into through the gooseneck into your home.
The village's public works department is still working to replace them to be in compliance.
But it involves pretty much digging up the entire town, which we have a plan in place to do that.
They have a plan, but what they don't have is any help with funding the replacement.
The USDA, which has a grant for water upgrades and repairs, has said we're not going to consider you for the grant because you don't charge enough for your water and sewer. You've got to do your part in order for us to provide you with some funding.
So the village hasn't been approved for any grants unless they consider raising water and sewer rates, which hasn't happened in 2 decades.
It's a catch-22, isn't it?
In Antrim County, Allie Baxter, UpNorthLive News.
And Allie is joining us live now from our newsroom with more on this story. Hi, Allie.
Hi, Maya. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I'm ready to talk about this story.
Yeah, so the last thing that we kind of heard from in that story is that because they don't charge enough for their water and sewer in Central Lake, they are not eligible for this grant. They haven't risen their prices in quite some time, but is that something that the village is maybe considering now?
I think they're talking about it, but really it's been indicated to me that they really don't want to. There's a reason that they haven't raised their rates in 2 decades now. They know that it's not beneficial. They're really mindful of the residents that live in the village as well, and they don't want to add, especially in this certain economy, they don't want to add another burden to people, is the word that was used earlier today. And I thought that was super great that they wanted to take the residents' feelings into consideration and what they can handle, but at the same time they said it's now coming back almost to bite us in a weird way because we've gone to the USDA to try to get a grant to make our water systems better for our residents. And now they're telling us that, well, because you don't charge your residents enough for water, we're not going to help you.
Are there other funding options available?
I think they're looking into that, but so far, all the funding sources that they've looked at have pretty much told them the same thing. And it's very specific to having to find grants specifically for the replacement of lead, for water, and you really kind of have to go to the federal level a lot of times for this to be able to get that financial support. And they said that's just where they're continuing to hit certain roadblocks because they really don't want to raise the water and sewer rates for people, but they're also being told that because you don't pass along those charges to your residents that we're not going to help you guys out with any grant money because you guys should be footing most of the bill.
And just to reiterate something that was pretty interesting in your story, so in Central Lake specifically, the village doesn't have lead in the water, it's just on these goosenecks that connect the water, correct?
Correct, yes, and that's something that was very clear that there is no lead in the water, and that's not just, you know, hey, we think there's no lead in the water. It's tested, they know that they have, it's measured by parts per billion, and they have zero. They have 0 parts per billion when it comes to lead in their water, but because of these new regulations that say you have to have any lead, anything within your pipes removed, if there's even something like that gooseneck, which is just a connector, it doesn't pass along any lead, but it is made out of lead. If you even have that, you have to let your residents know that there could potentially be lead in the water, even though Central Lake says we don't have any lead in our water. So we know that sending these letters out to people, which we are enforced, we had to do it from the federal level. We know that it freaked a lot of people out. People like Mary that you just saw there, she said, I'm scared to death. Like, I don't know if I want to, like, I already don't drink a lot of the water, but now I'm even more scared to touch my water.
That is a scary letter to receive, so hopefully this story and other resources out there have made it clear that the water is okay to drink. It's just this gooseneck that kind of needs to be replaced at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And that was something I actually met with Mary first before I went to the village. And when she showed me that letter initially, I said the same thing. I was like, oh my goodness, like if I received a letter like this, I would be a little nervous and have a lot of anxiety about, well, what am I supposed to do and what do I do next? And then once I went to the village, they said, yeah, we had to word it that way. It was from Eagle, it was from the EPA, and we know that it freaks a lot of people out, which is why we put so many resources on the bottom of, if you are feeling this way, come talk to us because we do want to help you and we do want to clarify and explain what our water situation is here because they said we've tested it, all their water reports are available online, and there is no lead in their water.
And along with finding and replacing these lead pipes, we know that the EPA also made other changes. Do you have a list of some of those changes?
Yeah, so along with the pipes, it was also how much lead by parts per billion, which is ppb, could be in the water as well. Michigan has 15 parts per billion that is allowed in the water, but they were going to change it next year to 12. Well, now the new EPA regulations say you can only have 10. So that is even stricter, more, I saw the word today, it's a little bit more aggressive than Michigan's approach as well. And it's also made not just here in northern Michigan, but a ton of communities across the state, they now don't meet that federal threshold. And I believe when I was doing some research earlier, it's now 39 communities across Michigan that have over the 10 parts per billion amount of lead in their water.
So what do those communities need to do at this point?
It depends on when they were last tested, but especially like if they already exceeded the state level for Michigan, which right now is 15, was going to be 12, they've been alerted by the state that, hey, you have to do something, you have to address your water system, and you have to figure out why there is this much lead in your water.
Anything else, Allie, that we haven't touched on yet that is worth mentioning?
I think just if you have questions, especially like in Central Lake today, they were very open. They said if there is any community members here like Mary who want us to come talk to them and really explain what's going on with, you know, if there is lead in the water, if there's not lead in the water, we really want you to come talk to us so we can explain that. And they said, we know this is not exclusive to Central Lake. Every single community has gotten something like this, not just in Michigan, but across the country. So they said, we know this is more of a national thing and we're really curious, you know, how people are now going to seek out those resources.
All right, Allie, thanks so much for joining us and for giving us some more information on your story. And our question of the day today is related to Allie's story. So have you received any notification that your water service line is connected to lead pipes? At this point, 80% of people have voted no, 20% have voted yes. So if you haven't voted yet, you can scan that QR code on your screen right now. If you're watching on your phone, you can always go to our website, UpNorthLive.com, and find our web story that will have this question as well. And we will continue to keep an eye on our question of the day as we continue on with our show. But we have one more story that we want to share with you, and it's about a pretty unique campaign that's happening this month, meant to encourage more males in the community to kind of step up and consider a mentorship role. So it's a campaign called Brovember, and it's through Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northwestern Michigan. It's actually an organization that I'm involved in, which is why I wanted to share this story with you all. So I talked with the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northwestern Michigan and a big brother about what this campaign is all about and really what it means to be a mentor in this program.
You know, it's really just building a friendship, and it's typically for kids who don't get that one-on-one time with an adult on a regular basis.
In the 5 counties Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northwestern Michigan covers, staff say there are around 6,000 children that could use the organization's support.
Well, there's always a huge need.
And right now, the biggest need is for more male mentors.
But we typically have a harder time finding male mentors than we do female mentors.
My friend told me just how much of a need there was for other men to get involved. And he also told me just how rewarding it was.
Taylor Moore has been a Big Brother for 2 years now.
It really is about him and like making sure that he feels cared for and supported. And that is really fulfilling.
Taylor's relationship with his little started off a little bumpy.
The first time I met my little, he threw a snowball at me from behind a car.
But it didn't take long for Taylor and his little brother to build a bond.
We got in the car to head out, and he asked if he could play music. Right off the bat, plays Michael Jackson, and we're just like jamming out the rest of the car ride. And that's when I knew, like, okay, this is gonna be fun.
And boy, has it been a lot of fun for Taylor and his little.
Rock climbing, charter fishing. We've been out to NMC's aviation and did a flight simulator. So we've gotten to do all these fun things together.
But Taylor's relationship with his little is about so much more than just the fun.
I'm not a teacher, I'm not a parent. I provide like this, I'm providing like the ability for him to have conversations that he would otherwise not have.
That's really what this is all about for littles, knowing someone always has their back and knowing they're loved.
When a child feels loved and listened to, there's just no stopping them, right? So it's just so encouraging, and it builds their self-confidence. So that gives them the confidence to go and do the things that they really want to do.
And sometimes the best thing you can do for a kid is show up for them.
If you've had other like men in your life who whether it's your coach or a teacher who've shown up for you, like if you've experienced that, that's what's gonna come through. Like that'll come through naturally.
And no matter what you can bring to the table,
my big brother is special because he taught me how to play hockey. He helps me with my art. He's good at basketball. She shows up every week and doesn't complain, and she's just really nice.
There's a little out there, eagerly waiting to meet you.
There's a lot of boys who are struggling, and there is isolation, depression, bullying, and to be there for someone, that makes the community stronger.
And there are currently 38 boys and 24 girls on the wait list for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northwestern Michigan. Now this covers Grand Traverse, Antrim, Charlevoix, Emmett, and Kalkaska counties. I want to mention there are 2 separate programs. So there's a community-based mentoring program where you would go out into the community for 4 to 6 hours a month, so you can determine how you want to split up that time with your little, and you do fun things like Taylor and his little have been doing. There's a school-based mentoring program where you'd go right to your little school for 1 hour hour every single week and spend an hour with them there. So really, it's a total time commitment of 4 to 6 hours a month. We do have a link to apply if you're interested in becoming a big on our website, UpNorthLive.com. And I want to mention one more thing. There's really no age limit for a big brother. So if you're thinking like, oh no, am I too old? Probably not. So just, something to consider. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to check back in with Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix. He'll have much more on the forecast for our Friday and the weekend coming up next.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
We are inching closer to the end of the work and school week, and that means we're even closer to the weekend. So, Joe, how are things looking for our Friday?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much sun. So if you did this afternoon, I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. But it won't be bad, Maya. Nothing, it's not going to be completely rainy or anything like that coming up. Let's go to Gaylord. I want to show you our camera. So, yep, that's 2 Gaylords there. The one on the left, that was this morning. You can see the snow on the ground after, kind of a wet evening. That was earlier today, and then that's the current look on the right. And you can see, especially if you look over on the left side of the screen, the snow is melted with some of that sunshine. Looks like somebody might got pulled over there too, perhaps this evening. Here's a look at our weather map tonight, and Big L near Chicago. That is our area of low pressure. So that was over Lake Huron last night, and then it just kind of dived across the area, and it's kind of sliding south of us. Here's what it looked like on radar today as we had that rain and snow kind of spiraling through here. I'll run through this one more time. Right there, you can see all the messy weather, and then that all dropped away from us. And again, we did get a little sunshine in some spots. There's where the snow is now. It's way south of us. It's snowing tonight around Cincinnati into Indianapolis. down into Kentucky and West Virginia, seeing some snowfall tonight. Back home here in the north, a little bit of clearing, but I think the trend tonight is for the clouds to kind of fill back in. Near Alpena, south of there, a few rain showers or even a little snow mixing in. You can see that near Lake Huron. And the clouds are going to be kind of the theme the next few days. So here's a look at things right now. There's tonight. And then tomorrow, while there won't be any widespread rain over the area, we could see a couple showers, most likely near Lake Michigan from the Leelanau Peninsula south. That's tomorrow. See the clock up there tomorrow night. Saturday, yeah, kind of cloudy, chance for a rain or snow shower. Sunday, chance for some clouds, and that's just kind of the story moving ahead here. So the weekend forecast, as we look ahead here, a little more specific look. If you have planned Saturday, rather cloudy, spotty rain or snow showers, low and mid 40s. And then Sunday, looks cloudy but quiet. Sunday with upper 30s and mid 40s. Let's take a look all the way out through Thanksgiving. That's a week from now. And there's that forecast. Through Sunday, relatively quiet, highs in the 40s. And notice though, as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday and Thanksgiving, it does cool down. We drop back into the 30s, and that'll lead to a few rain or snow showers as we inch toward the holidays. So if you're looking at traveling, I don't see any major issues, but I do think there'll be a few rain and snow showers around Maya Wednesday and a Thursday.
So it could be a little messy.
We'll see, yep.
We'll see. All right, thanks, Joe. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll check in with Sports Director Harrison Beebe in just a few minutes. We have an area football team going to play in the 8-player state championship game this weekend. For more on that, let's turn things over to Sports Director Harrison Beebe. Hey, Harrison.
Hey, Maya, that's right. The Pickford Panthers, they're packing the bus. They'll probably head there tomorrow. An 11 a.m. game on Saturday, taking on Deckerville in the 8-player Division I state championship. They did win a state championship in 2019. That was Division II. So now their school size is bumped up a little bit. So now they're going for the big 8-player Division I title. Again, that'll be Saturday. We caught up with the guys last week. Actually, Daniel Zivian, I'm going to give him a shout-out. Caught up with the guys after their semifinal win against Inland Lakes, and their reaction is our latest Jimmy John Sports Corner.
The following segment is sponsored by Jimmy John's of Traverse City.
We're all just super stoked right now. We're just ready for next week.
Pickford's return to the state championship was cemented with a huge victory over Inland Lakes in the semifinals, overturning a 12-0 shutout against the Bulldogs a week ago, which gives the Panthers the trip to the Superior Dome.
Last year was a tough game. It was hard fought, just like this one was. We knew it was going to come down to the wire. We came up on the short end last year, and you know what? The guys have been thinking about that all year. This was the game that we wanted. This was the matchup that we wanted, and we were just excited to get to it.
Yeah, we wanted this game all year. We were looking forward to this all year. We came to this game knowing it was going to be a four-quarter game. We knew it was going to be a smash-mouth football game from both sides.
This program knows what it's like to be there. Coach Rader led the Panthers to the Division II 8-player state championship victory in 2019, and now they're hoping for the same in the higher division this weekend.
We just talk about grit all year long, being tested, answering the bell. You know, every game has momentum swings, and our team this is a team that's got grit, and so they answer every single time.
Perfection is on the line for the winner between the Panthers and Deckerville, as only one team can be 13-0 and raise the state championship trophy when it's all said and done.
We're not as physically big as a lot of teams, but that doesn't matter to them, you know. And we just come out, we play aggressive. We're able to control the ball, which we try to do. You know, our guys have played great this year. I'm so proud of them.
And we will have highlights from that game on Saturday on Up North Live News. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll check in with our live results for Question of the Day coming up next.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Back in October, the Environmental Protection Agency announced communities have 10 years to find and replace any lead pipes in their area. So our question today is, have you received any notification that your water service line is connected to lead pipes? 79% of voters said no, 27% said yes. So thank you everyone who did vote. We also have more information on this story on our website, UpNorthLive.com. That'll do it tonight for Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30. Thanks for joining us. We'll hope to see you back here tonight at 11 o'clock. Take care, everyone.